Hey guys, welcome back if you're returning, and welcome if you're new here. Today we're going to be unboxing the Graco 3900 Standard Series. We're going to be running through some of the key features of the 3900, who it's best suited for, how it compares to some of the other units in the range, and what are the options with this model. Now this unit's the 17H449 model, which is the standard single gun series. This unit's available in a range of options. So it comes as a standard single gun series like we've got here. It also comes as a standard 2-gun series, that's the 17H450, and then it also comes as an automatic option as well with the auto gun functioning. But like I said, this is the standard series single gun unit, so the entry level in the 3900 range. This unit running 2 guns is capable of a maximum tip size of 25 thousandths of an inch. So again, that's maximum of something like LL5 325 with 2 guns running at the same time. You can hook up a stencil gun separately or run the guns independently at that higher tip size. What are the key specs that you should be aware of? Flow rate, pressure, the total weight of the unit, what engine it's running, what is the drive system, and what is the maximum tip size that this unit's capable of. Flow rate. This unit's capable of a pretty awesome 4.7 liters per minute. It'll handle up to 3,300 PSI at max pressure. It's running a Honda GX120 petrol motor with a direct drive system. The total weight of the unit without any paint in it is 104 kilos. So with a 20 or 30 litre drum of paint, that's probably another 40 kilos or so. So you're looking at about 150 kilos when it's full of paint. And the maximum tip size you can run as a single gun unit is up to a 36 thou, and with 2 guns is up to 25 thou. If you're not sure what those numbers mean, we've got a bunch of tip videos that explain the tips in the range and how they work. We'll link that below so you can check that out. Just briefly though, it's something like in your yellow line marking tips, LL5 336 for a single gun and LL5 325 for a dual gun. Now, if you're running a stencil gun setup, you can run that maximum tip size of the single gun. All it means is if you're going to be running 2 guns simultaneously, so doing something like a double barrier or achieving a much wider line, that's when you can only run up to a 25 thou. So this is the brains of the unit. This is where you've got your control system. Now on the standard, this is only going to display your pressure and basic settings. However, on the auto systems, that's where you'll be able to control the auto layout system. You've got a very simple kill start here. You've got a very simple speed for your piston pump here, and this controls your pressure, which again will be displayed here. This trigger is our manual pull for controlling the guns, and you can see here you've got 1 gun cable, but if you connect a second system, you'll have 2 gun cables here, which can also be easily detached. So even though you've got 2 guns running, you only operate 1 gun. The units come standard with about 15 meters of 3/8 hose, and then they connect to what we call a whip hose in 1/4 inch. It's really essential to have this extra length of 3/8 hose because it provides dampening for the pulsation received from the motor. You've also got the tow ball hitch here where you can connect the tow ball and then connect your line driver. On the left hand side, we've got this trigger here which controls the front wheel. When it's left out, the wheel will be locked into place and continue to walk straight. But when we pull it, that will be released and the unit can spin freely. We've got a very simple mechanical brake system here with just this lever. You pull it out and it locks the unit into place. It's really essential that you use this when you're on a slope. I tend to just use it all the time when I'm not around the unit, and that way it prevents anything from ever happening or from me from ever forgetting it. And then you simply just smack it back to get it into place. We've got a very simple GX120 Honda motor here. It's pull start. We've got our on-off on the side here. Then we've got our choke and also our fuel supply. When you're transporting this unit, you just want to make sure that you have the fuel supply turned off, otherwise you'll flood it. Air filter under here, spark plug around here, and make sure that you regularly service these and keep the oils changed. This is what we refer to as our manifold, and this is where the filtration happens. It's where we've got our prime valve, and it's also where all our hoses connect to. So we've got our main spray line here, we've got our drain line underneath, we've also got the line that connects directly to the pump, and then here we've got 2 outlets where we connect our second gun, and then also the option as well for a stencil gun. So technically you can have 3 guns hanging off of this, but you can only use 2 at one time. Again, 25 thousandths of an inch. Under here, this is where we've got our filter. These come standard as a yellow 50 mesh filter. I always just stick to yellows. They're the simplest way to keep your unit in tip-top shape, and they're pretty much most universal for most coatings. Make sure that after every use you pull these out, you give them a good clean, because they will catch a lot of debris, and over time they'll clog up and it'll cause you headaches. Running this unit is very simple. The first thing we want to do is start it up, build a little bit of speed on the motor, engage the pump, and run it in the prime position, which is always down. Remember, your drain line is down and it follows that directionally. Once we've primed it through, it'll come out of this drain tube into your bucket, and once we have good circulation, it's free from air, we can then flick it up into spray and then build pressure. The unit will run, it'll build pressure, it'll stall under that pressure. However, the motor and the drive system will continue to run. Here, we've got a very simple system for disconnecting our gun. We can undo this, the gun slots out, and then we can use this as a stencil gun with our additional length of hose. And to put that back in, we simply just slide that in and lock it in place. You'll see here that there's one gun cable on here, and there's also the option as well here. This is where your auto gun would go if this was an auto system. It's labeled as gun 1, so when you add in your second gun, you know which one's 1 and 2. You've got plenty of adjustments here. You can adjust it up and down here easily. You've got these marks here which represent 50 mil increments. You can also adjust it in and out. You can also adjust the arm in and out. And again, you've got 25 mil increments on this bar, and you can adjust the gun arm down here. A lot of people will run their guns out like this just to give them a bit more distance from the unit itself. Sometimes they'll run them backwards as well to get a little bit more stability. This whole arm can be taken out and then fitted to the back axle where it'll overhang the rear tire, again giving you a bit more stability. With the EasyLine system, when the front wheel is unlocked, we can adjust it to an angle and then actually lock it into place at that angle there. So now it won't shift from that angle. What locking the wheel in place at an angle allows you to do is easily get curves, circles, rotations without having to rely on your ability to keep it straight. When you're done with that, you can simply unscrew the wing nut and it'll lock straight back into place, pushing straight again. If you're a contractor doing high production work, so think public roads in large volume, or you're doing a lot of car park work, then this unit is the right unit for you. It's a mid-level unit. It's capable of handling coatings like chlorinated rubber or heavier water-based coatings. It's capable of achieving a much thicker micron film build. So if you're doing public roads and you have to hit requirements, that's the way to go. And it's also capable of attaching to a Graco LineDriver unit, so that way you can ride around and get more work done. So really, the 3900 is the entry-level high production unit. That's how I'd put it, because it's the first unit where you can connect it to a driver. It's the first unit with a really serious flow rate and capable of achieving really high film builds. People are always asking me, why get the 3900 direct drive over a 130HS? If you're unfamiliar, the 130HS is a similar sized unit, except it's got a hydraulic drive system. So a Honda motor powers a hydraulic pump, which then powers the piston pumps. Well, there's a couple of key differences and a couple of reasons why you might want to go with the direct drive system. Think about weight. Without the hydraulic system, this unit's significantly lighter and easier to push around. It's also easier to transport. If you're a single person or a two-person crew, mid-size, and you're looking for a high production unit that isn't as heavy, this might be the go. It's also got less moving parts, which means less maintenance overall on the unit. So less things to replace, less things that can go wrong, and a simpler design. However, there are a couple of key trade-offs when you go for a direct drive over the hydraulic system. For starters, because the piston pump's directly connected to the Honda motor, that means you're going to have more vibration on average through the unit. It also means that you're going to have more load on that fluid pump, which will lead to faster wear. So typically you will be repairing and replacing that pump more often than with the hydraulic system. Crucially, there is one key difference. You cannot run a pressurized bead system with the direct drive unit. in order to run a pressurized bead system, you need the hydraulic pump and the hydraulic fan belt to connect the compressor that is on the pressurized bead system. So this unit will only run a gravity feed bead system. That might not be a deal breaker for you. If you're entry level or you're mid-level and you're applying bead by hand currently, or you're using a hand beater, then a gravity bead system's a major upgrade from there. So you'd be very happy with that. However, a pressurized bead system reduces the risk of moisture buildup, is more consistent, allows you to put more bead down on the road. It also allows you to adjust the widths of the bead with only one gun. Whereas when you run a gravity system, you've got to change the dies for the different sizes of lines. Otherwise, you're not covering the full line with bead, or you're covering too much and you're wasting bead. So that's something to consider definitely. Now people love the 3400, which is the little brother to this unit. And people always tell me, why would I go with the 3900 when it's significantly heavier? The 3400's a workhorse, it's really portable, it's lightweight, and it carries a lot of the same features and design as the 3900. Well, the 3900 has about double the flow rate. So that means you're going to be able to spray those thicker coatings. You're also going to be able to get that thicker micron film build on the road. Whereas the 3400 will struggle to achieve that same result. And what that means is you're going to be going through packings and pumps a lot faster. So there is a trade-off there. The other thing as well is you cannot connect a line driver to a 3400, which means it's always going to be a push unit. So if you're a small contractor or you're just starting out, maybe you're doing predominantly car parks, or if you just want a second unit in your fleet for secondary colors like yellow where you're not doing as much painting, the 3400 is a fantastic option for that. But if you're looking for one unit to do everything and you want to be able to achieve more growth with that unit and have more options available for longevity, the 3900 is probably the best place to start. Thanks for watching, guys. That concludes the video. If you got any questions or recommendations on content you want to see, make sure you comment it below. I'm going to get this unit off and packaged up and delivered to our customer now.